The Concorde never expected humanity to return, and certainly not like this. The TSV punctuation dropped out of FTL with a gravitational lensing halo, and every alarm on the summit station blared at once. Inside the Grand Council chamber, 200 species turned to observe the impossibility on their displays. 10 years earlier, this chamber had celebrated a very different moment. A treaty signing, with Earth among the signatories. The Concorde Treaty banned gravity-based weaponry forever. For 9 months, the peace held.
I gave Earth 9 months. That's how long it took the humans to realize they couldn't keep up with the rest of us.
Without another word, the human delegation, led by Dr. Andrew Park, rose from their seats and walked out. They left behind only 2 words: philosophical disagreement. The galaxy assumed humanity was sulking. A decade passed. No transmissions, no ships. The Concorde concluded Earth had simply given up. But Earth hadn't given up. It had been building something the galaxy couldn't name. And now, it was here, behind that silent decade, in a bunker beneath the Himalayas. A different kind of research had consumed Earth's brightest minds. They called it a space-time editor, a device that could reach into a moment and cauterize it from reality. Obsessive work. 1 decade to build a weapon that wouldn't break the treaty. It would make the treaty irrelevant. For Dr. Andrew Park, the mission was personal. He had walked out of that chamber once. This time he'd walk back in and rewrite everything. When the punctuation launched, it carried no guns, no missiles, just a fist-sized orb that hummed with a light like frozen time. The station's docking arms reached out hesitantly, as if touching something radioactive. The corridors fell silent as Park passed. No one knew what the humans had brought, but every instinct said to step back. Inside the case, the device remained dormant. Park's heartbeat, however, drummed against his ribs. The chamber doors split open. Inside, 200 species waited. They'd been waiting 10 years to see what Earth would do next, and Dr. Andrew Park walked in, carrying a weapon the galaxy couldn't name.
So the humans finally crawled back. 10 years hiding. And you bring, what exactly? A light show?
Delegate Vex, silence. Dr. Park, this council demands an explanation. What is that vessel, and what does it carry?
It carries a device. Nothing more. But that device does something your treaty never imagined banning.
Park opened the case. Inside, a seamless orb of chrome and cyan light pulsed softly, as if breathing.
I am reading no energy signature, no weapon mechanism. It is completely inert, and yet my instruments scream.
Explain its function. Now, this council will not be toyed with.
I'd rather show you a demonstration. Choose a target, any object within visual range.
This is theatrics. Humanity has no right to put demands before this council.
Murmurs spread across the chamber. 100 species wanted Earth silenced. 100 more wanted to see what would happen.
Granted. Select your target, Dr. Park. We will witness this instrument.
Park gestured toward the main view screen, highlighting a small, nameless asteroid drifting at the edge of the station's sensor range. He tapped the device. No explosion, no beam, only a ripple that bent starlight into smeared arcs. The asteroid shimmered, and then it simply wasn't there. Empty space yawned where rock had spun for eons.
No mass conversion, no energy signature, no temporal residue. It's as if it was never there.
A weapon. It annihilated a celestial body. Earth has brought an abomination into this chamber.
The chamber erupted. A dozen species recoiled in their pods. A dozen more demanded an immediate vote.
It didn't annihilate it. It edited it out of the last 6 seconds of its own history. The asteroid never was.
This council will now determine whether this device falls under the treaty's definition of a weapon. We are in recess until further notice.
There is nothing to debate. This heresy must be destroyed and Earth quarantined.
But the words were already losing meaning. The galaxy had no language for what it had just witnessed.
Chair, the device leaves no radiation, no debris, no energy discharge. It simply removed 6 seconds from the asteroid's existence.
Then it is a temporal weapon. The treaty forbids weapons that violate the physical integrity of a target.
Integrity. It erased the target from history. That is an attack on causality itself, worse than any gravity bomb.
The treaty exists to prevent destruction. This device prevents destruction from ever having been necessary.
A paradox. If the asteroid never was, then no harm occurred. The treaty cannot condemn a non-event.
The legal argument spiraled. The treaty's authors had never imagined a weapon that left behind a perfect void.
You twist words. This is a weapon of mass deception. It unmakes reality itself.
It unmakes the need for weapons. That's the point.
This council is not a debating society. A ruling must be made. Zix, can you classify it?
But Zix had no answer. The device hummed softly in its case, defying every category the galaxy had ever devised.
This device began as a theoretical tool for repairing temporal paradoxes, nothing violent. But you banned gravity weapons, not time edits.
You exploit a loophole. This council wrote the treaty in good faith, and you twist it into a weapon.
Earth stood with us 9 months. You signed. Then you left to build this. Betrayal.
Betrayal? The treaty left us defenseless. So we found another path.
Humanity must be punished for its arrogance. Disarm immediately, or face the consequences.
Punish us. Then let me prove the device isn't a weapon. A second demonstration on something with a crew, a derelict.
You intend to erase a ship and its crew from history? That is monstrous.
If it's a weapon, let the council judge after seeing it fully, unless you are afraid of the truth.
To refuse the demonstration would be to admit the device was a weapon beyond their control. The Concorde chair had no choice. The derelict cruiser appeared on the view screen, dead and waiting. Again, Park tapped the device. The derelict cruiser shimmered, its hull distorting like a reflection on rippling water. In seconds, the ship was gone, not exploded, not vaporized, but eliminated from the canvas of time. Light years away, a family gathered for a meal. The hologram of their ancestor, a crew member on that cruiser, flickered and dissolved into nothing. Across the network, ship registries and crew, manifests rewrote themselves. Names, histories, entire lives collapsing into blank columns.
It's not just the ship. The crew's existence is being pruned from the timeline. Their families won't remember them.
You've killed them. Erased them from memory. This is beyond warfare. It is the annihilation of souls.
The chamber had never been this silent. Species who had never known physical war now faced a concept they couldn't fight.
They aren't dead. They never died. In this timeline, they never existed. That's not destruction. It's correction.
A correction? You've rewritten causality. If entire histories can be erased, what else can this device undo? What treaty? What authority?
The question hung in the air, heavier than any weapon ever built. Then the chamber broke. Delegates shouted over one another, some calling for Earth's obliteration, others for the device's immediate destruction.
Destroy it. This device is an abomination. Earth will not leave this station with it intact.
Earth will not destroy its only means of defense. That is non-negotiable.
It may not be a weapon in the traditional sense. Perhaps we classify it as a reality editor, a tool, not a weapon, to avoid conflict.
Then share the technology, Dr. Park. Let the Concorde monitor its use. Peaceful cooperation is still possible.
We will not share it. Earth alone will hold this capability. That is the price of our security.
Then you leave us no choice. This council will not tolerate a rogue species armed with such power.
If we push Earth further, they may use the device against us. We must consider the cost.
This council will recess. But the Concorde will not forget this defiance.
The chamber emptied in cold silence. Earth stood alone, and the galaxy braced for what would come next. Within hours, a Concorde battle group assembled around the punctuation. Vex's fleet formed a kill box, weapons hot. The station's comms crackled with an ultimatum.
Dr. Park, you have 10 minutes to surrender the device. Failure to comply will result in your ship's annihilation.
We will not surrender. If you fire, you will learn what this device can truly do.
Dr. Park, if you use that device against us, you risk unraveling causality itself. There will be no recovery.
You are outgunned and outnumbered. This is your last chance. Disable the device or die.
We did not come here to be destroyed. We came to ensure Earth's future. If that requires a demonstration of finality, so be it.
A countdown clock appeared on every screen in the chamber. On every ship in the fleet, the punctuation's hull began to glow brighter, the gravitational lensing intensifying into a violent halo, and Dr. Andrew Park stood on the bridge, finger resting near the activation key. The countdown ticked to 8 minutes. Vex's fleet tightened formation, targeting solutions locking onto the punctuation's hull.
8 minutes, Park. No tricks. Surrender the device now and we might let your crew live.
You still believe this device only deletes objects. It doesn't. It edits events, moments in time, like, say, a treaty signing.
The words hit like a shockwave. A junior aide in the chamber gasped, and the leak spread faster than thought.
He wouldn't. The treaty is the foundation of our civilization. He can't mean it.
Then we must strike now. Destroy the ship before he can activate.
No. If we miss, he will erase everything. The treaty, our history, our authority. We cannot risk it.
A new ultimatum replaced the old. Disable the device within 1 hour, or the Concorde would fire regardless of consequence.
You had 10 years to leave Earth alone. Now you have 1 hour to reconsider everything you think you know.
The galaxy held its breath. For the first time in history, war was not about destruction. It was about existence itself.
Earth has multiple devices. They can erase events, any event, including the treaty signing.
A wave of dread paralyzed the chamber. Vex's own fleet hesitated on the comms.
I'll prove it. A minor trade agreement from 83 cycles ago. Watch it disappear.
He tapped his wrist. The archive flickered, and a small piece of history dissolved into static.
The record is gone. I cannot recall the ambassador's name. It's as if it never happened.
You are insane. This is an attack on reality. The Council will never bow to this.
Enough. The demonstration is acknowledged. Dr. Park can unmake our foundational agreements.
Now you understand. Stand down your fleet, or watch the treaty vanish like it never was.
The clock still ticked, but now it measured the Council's remaining history. Power had shifted. The galaxy looked at Earth with a new, cold respect and fear. On the punctuation's bridge, Park let the silence stretch. Behind his eyes, a decade-old memory replayed. Earth's inner circle had gathered in a bunker under Geneva. The first prototype sat on the table. One argued, if they ever push us into a corner, we erase the treaty itself. No signatories, no obligation. Another countered, that's monstrous. We'd be erasing a shared history.
Then let it be monstrous. We take their memory of ever wanting to fight us. That memory burned bright. The Council still didn't understand. They faced a decision made 10 years ago.
The device's readiness light glowed steady cyan. Earth had prepared for this. Outside, the fleet still hadn't fired. The hour was almost up.
If they push, they erase themselves. History bends to those who own it.
And the clock ticked to its final minutes. On the main channel, the Council's last debate erupted in chaos. Vex screamed for attack. The chair's voice cracked, pleading for restraint. The galaxy teetered on a knife's edge.
Fire now. Destroy the punctuation before he touches that abomination.
Hold. If we miss, there will be no treaty to defend. No Concorde, no authority.
The treaty's erasure would unmake our entire legal structure. Every ruling, every precedent, gone.
This is your final chance. Stand down your fleet, or I will edit the treaty signing out of history.
A long silence. Then, Vex let out a bitter, broken laugh. You bluff. Press your button, human. Prove it.
As you wish.
He pressed the activation plate. From the punctuation, a pulse of cyan light reached out, not toward the ships but back through time. Toward the moment the treaty was signed, the punctuation's hull flared to blinding cyan, the gravitational lensing expanding into a storm of bent starlight. A temporal shockwave erupted, not in space, but in time, racing toward the moment of the treaty signing. In the collective memory of the galaxy, the grand hall flickered, its marble columns and ornate banners beginning to fade. In the council chamber, Vex lunged at the view screen. Claws extended, security drones materialized, restraining his four arms in midair.
You cannot. This is madness. Stop it now.
The hall continued to dissolve. Delegates at the signing table looked up, confused, as their own forms became translucent. Outside, the alien fleet reeled. Ships nearest the punctuation shuddered, as if time itself rejected them.
Park watched, his face a mask. A part of him that was still the young diplomat who signed the treaty screamed in silence.
The punctuation sat at the heart of the storm, unharmed, its cyan light now the only constant in a shifting universe. The galaxy's past was being unwritten, 1 second at a time. The signing hall turned to dust and light. Delegates who had signed the treaty looked at their hands as if they'd never held a pen. In the council chamber, Vex blinked. The memory of the signing ceremony was there an instant ago. Now it was a splinter of a thought.
What happened? There was a treaty. I remember something.
Across the galaxy, the treaty's text dissolved from every record. Holographic pages turned blank, databanks emptied.
I cannot recall the specifics. The treaty's clauses are slipping away.
Zix watched her console. Timelines were collapsing, the treaty event dissolving from every branch.
The temporal anchor is eroding. Soon, there will be no record that the treaty ever existed.
Park watched from the bridge. Inside the chamber, delegates clutched their heads, forgetting. The galaxy's memory of the treaty shrank to a brief, flickering impression, then to nothing at all. And still, the device hummed, erasing the final seconds. The device's hum fell silent. The erasure had finished. For a moment, the galaxy simply continued, unaware.
What treaty? Why are we assembled? I have no record of this session's purpose.
The chamber erupted. Not in anger, but in bewildered panic. Delegates looked at empty screens, asking why they'd come.
What was I so angry about? There was something. A treaty? No, that can't be right.
Then he looked at the view screen, at the human ship, and felt only a hollow threat, with no origin he could name.
There never was a treaty. Your history begins now, unburdened.
Across the chamber, delegates nodded slowly, their minds accepting the new truth. A thought of the Concord Treaty flickered across the galaxy one last time, then vanished into the void of unwritten time.
This council is adjourned. I suppose we need a new agenda.
Dr. Andrew Park watched the council dissolve into formless confusion. The treaty was gone, and no one, not even Earth, could prove it ever existed.
The threat is over. No treaty binds Earth. We leave in peace.
He turned and walked, heels clicking on the cold floor, the council's silence pressing against his back. No one moved to stop him. The Concord had no memory of why they had ever opposed Earth. The corridor beyond the chamber was empty. Park walked alone, the device's case held lightly in his hand. The punctuation broke from its dock with a soft shudder, its pearlescent hull still radiating a faint cyan afterglow. Inside the council chamber, the chair stared at a blank datapad. The session's purpose was gone, a hole in time. Vex sat slumped, the fire in his eyes extinguished. A flicker of rage surfaced, then died, no memory to feed it. Outside, the fleet drifted. No orders came, no target existed. The ships idled like abandoned machines.
Park stood at the viewport, watching the station recede. 10 years, and a single press of a button.
The punctuation slid into the black, its distortion field compressing into a pixel, then vanishing. The punctuation flew home in silence. No hails, no pursuit, only a galaxy that had never signed the Concord Treaty. On a core world plaza, the treaty monument flickered, its stone pillars turning translucent, then dust. In the data crypts of 1,000 species, Paragraphs of treaty law reverted to blank parchment. The Concord fleet broke formation. Without a treaty, there was no enemy, only ships lost in the dark. Galactic cartographers watched their maps rewrite, the treaty's network nodes vanishing one by one. A child pointed at an empty pedestal where a grand plaque had been. Her parent shrugged, unable to recall. The past had become a rumor. The treaty was not just dead, it had never been born. Park stood at the viewport, Earth growing in the forward screen. Blue and green, untouched by the galaxy's confusion.
Home. And no one there would ever know what he'd done.
That night, Earth slept as it always had, unburdened, unwatched, and utterly safe. The punctuation touched down on a sunlit pad. A small delegation waited, faces friendly but blank. A junior aide stepped forward, tablet in hand, scrolling through notes that no longer existed. The aide looked up, genuinely unsure. Park said nothing. He walked past them into the archive terminal room and sat alone before a dead screen.
Nothing. No treaty file. No signing record. No diplomatic log, as if it had never been.
He realized then the erasure had been absolute. Not even Earth remembered. Only the crew of the punctuation, and him. The weight of that silence pressed against his chest like a physical thing.
They'll never know what I took from them, what I gave them.
He placed the device's dormant remnant in a drawer, locked it, and sat in the quiet hum of an ordinary evening. Outside, the city glowed, indifferent. History had been rewritten, and no one would ever read the original. Park sat in the dark, the only light a soft cyan pulse from the device's remnants on his desk.
Absolute security. The galaxy will never threaten us again because it has no memory of ever trying. History is a lie now, but it's our lie. A blank page we wrote for them. Some will say it's monstrous, but they won't remember why.
He let the remnant float above his palm, a captured star, barely visible, deadly but docile.
I could destroy it, end it all. But then what? We'd be defenseless again.
He placed the remnant back in its cradle, his hand steady. No lock this time.
Peace built on a void is still peace. For now, that will have to be enough.
Outside, the city hummed with a peace it didn't understand. The galaxy slept, unknowing. In the dark, Park's eyes held a faint cyan flicker, the only evidence that history had ever been otherwise. Park opened a small safe beneath the desk. Not a vault, just a drawer with a biometric seal. He lifted the remnant, a sliver of captured potential, colder and quieter than it had ever been. The safe swallowed the light. A soft click, and the cyan pulse was gone. He stood and crossed to the window. The stars were indifferent, but he was not.
Out there, a galaxy that never tried to disarm humanity. They'll never know this peace was carved out of their memory.
His hand rested on the cold glass. 10 years of work, a single press of a button, and a weight no one else could carry.
Time to put it away and be ordinary again. For as long as that lasts.
He turned back to the room. The safe sat in shadow, a quiet promise that Earth would never be defenseless again. The last flicker of cyan died in his eyes. He was once again just a man. The city slept on, and the stars kept their secrets. Park remained at the window, watching the city's lights blur into a soft golden haze. The sky above the city was a deep, unbroken black, pierced by stars that had no memory of treaties or weapons.
History belongs to those who write it. Sometimes the blank page is the most powerful weapon of all.
He said it aloud to no one, and the words vanished into the quiet hum of the sleeping world. Somewhere across the galaxy, a child pointed at an empty pedestal and asked a question no one could answer. The Concord was a dream that had never been dreamt, a war that had never been fought, and Earth sailed through an unchallenged future, its captain the only soul awake. The camera pulled back from the window until Park was a small, unmoving figure against the glass. The city lights blurred into a river of gold, then faded into the black of space, and the galaxy turned on, unaware that a single mind had ever held its fate. Fade to black.